Hey guys, sorry about taking so long, but it's finally time to get back to working on the 68. Had a couple other things to do. So as you can see, kind of recap what we've done. We got the steering column rebuilt here. Put that back up in there. Still hooked up all the wires. Got our gas can over there. So got everything in here done. You can see our new rag joint installed right there. Works really well. Still not 100% perfect, but it'll work for right now. Everything seems to be running good. We got the choke adjusted and everything's going good there. So it starts right up, no problems. So we've got the nice little hood prop in place since that hinge over there is rusted out pretty bad. You can kind of see it. Need to get that replaced as soon as possible. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace and bleed the brake fluid, because right as you can tell, it's absolutely bone dry and pretty rusted in there. So I'm gonna have to blow all that stuff out and fill it with fluid. We're gonna get the front brakes done first and then the back brakes done next. Okay, so we just got our air hose hooked up here. Didn't clean it out perfectly, but it cleaned out quite a bit of that crap so we don't get those in the brake cylinders anymore. So now that we've got it blown out, we can actually put some fluid in it. Put some brake fluid in there, fill her up. And then we're gonna have to check for leaks, and we're also gonna have to see if the bleeder valves will break free on this old vehicle. And it's been sitting for that long. Not so sure that the bleeder valves are going to break free on this, so we might end up having to replace wheel cylinders. We're going to have to take this wheel drum off to get to the wheel cylinder here. That way we can replace it because it's shot, I'm pretty sure. So to do that, we'll just have to remove this center cap here. Okay, once you get that cap off, you'll see a keeper in here. Take that out. It'll probably be bent. I've had this off before recently, so. And then you want to take this keeper nut off of here. And that should just wiggle off of there. It's just once you get that nut off, then you can start sliding this hub assembly off. You might have to wiggle it or hit it a few times depending on how stuck the brakes are. The brakes are definitely not stuck on here. So then go ahead and just grab the washer and bearing here. And once all that's off, this should just wiggle off of here. Again, the brake shoes are going to be kind of holding it, so you might have to wiggle it quite a bit. There is a star spacer behind it to automatically tension the gears. You might have to relieve that. What I'm talking about with the star spacer is right here. You can get at it usually from the back of the wheel there and turn it in, so then the shoes aren't grabbing so much. But again, these shoes aren't grabbing. Okay, so we've got the wheel hub off. We're gonna have to replace this cylinder since I can't get the bleeder out. And as you can kind of see, it needs replaced anyway. The rubber boot there to protect it, it's, you know, degraded over years and whatnot. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and take all these springs loose. Got that done. Now we just have to get the bolts off the back side of the wheel cylinder. See if we can get these off of here. Before we put new wheel cylinders on there, what we're going to do is we're going to get up there, we're going to pump the brakes, see if we can get clean fluid to pump through here, just to clean out the line so all that crap doesn't go into our new wheel cylinders. So as you can see here, we're going to have to take the master cylinder out and replace it because there was nothing coming out. So in taking these fittings out here, the front one came out. However, sitting in the woods for 20 years doesn't do it real nice for taking those out, so that one just twisted. So we're gonna have to replace a couple of lines too, just to get it working. So we're gonna take this master cylinder out and go to get it replaced. Of course, not a real common item anymore since it's, 50 years old almost. I had to call around, and the earliest I could get it is tomorrow. So we'll take it out today, and then I guess we'll come back tomorrow and put it back in and try to bleed all the brakes. While we're at it, we're going to change all the wheel cylinders. That way they're all fresh and clean. More than likely they're going to be froze up as well. So the only thing that's going to be stock so far is these lines. We're going to blow those out to make sure all the rust and junk that's been sitting in there for years is out of them, hopefully, since I don't want to replace those until I completely restore the truck. So basically, to take this out, we're going to have these two bolts back here, I believe, and that's about it. So okay, so we got it unbolted here, and there's just a shaft going back to the pedal, so you just got to wiggle that off there and it'll pop right off. Surprisingly, it came out pretty easily. You can kind of see it was leaking back there. The rubber grommet was definitely shot, so it wasn't going to seal anymore really. So it's probably a good thing that we're just replacing it. And it's leaking out of the top anyway, so that gasket's not very good. So for about 20 bucks, we can go get a remanufactured one. Okay, so we've got our new master cylinder here from AutoZone. Quite a bit bigger than the other one was. They had a core charge on it, so can't really show both of them. But it's significantly wider in there, significantly beefier. And then had to get a couple more compression fittings, and it came with a new plunger, so we'll put that on, and then had to get a short piece of brake line to replace that one that twisted off right there. And then of course it came with the new and improved master cylinder bleeding procedure. So you know what we're going to do with that. We're just going to throw that away. We don't need that. Okay, so we've got our new master cylinder installed. Now we just need to bleed the master cylinder before putting the brake lines on. Okay, now that we've got our master cylinder bled, we can take off the fitting here, the bleeder for the front brakes, because we're going to do those first. We got to replace this line, so we're going to see where we need to bend it. So there's our bend there. I'm going to use a compression fitting for right now. Eventually we'll replace this whole brake line so we won't have to worry about it, but just to get it have brakes right now, we're going to go ahead and just cut them. So I'm going to go get a saw and I'm going to cut that back brake line. Okay, that's all in there and tight now. So now we can start bleeding the front brakes. Again, we've got the passenger side off. We'll go bleed that first. Okay, so we've got our new wheel cylinder in here. And then we've got our line off because we're going to bleed the brakes, and we don't want to get all that crud into our new wheel cylinder that's in the old lines. So right now we've got master cylinder topped off. And we've got our lovely assistant in the driver's seat. She's gonna help us bleed the brakes. Okay, so we got our high-tech fluid catch pan sitting there off the line. Okay, go ahead and slowly pump them. Yep. Okay, so you can kind of see that fluid's coming out of there now. Real nasty. So we're gonna get all the old junky stuff out until the new stuff comes in. Okay, we're starting to see the new stuff. Okay, I think we got new stuff. Okay, you can stop. But that's all the old junky stuff out of line, so we didn't want that in our new master cylinder. So now we'll go ahead and hook this line up to the wheel cylinder. Okay, now that we've got the lines basically cleaned out, let's check this master cylinder again. Make sure we have enough fluid in here. We're going to go ahead and top it off. And so then once there's no air in the line when she pumps, we are done. So we can pull this off of here. Make sure you have the wheel on here when you're doing that, because the brakes will expand in here when she's hitting the brakes to build pressure. So we got everything back on here. We'll just have to put the keeper and the cap on here and we'll be good with this side. Another thing to note when you're bleeding brakes is you always want to go to the farthest point first to get all your air out. So that's why on the front, this is the furthest wheel away from the cylinder. On the back, we'll start on the passenger side as well, on the back. That way we can make sure we're bleeding them correctly in the correct order. So got this one done, then we'll move over to the driver's side front, and then we'll go onto the backs. Okay, the beast is finally ready. We got all the brakes bled. She's running like a top. Tires are kind of iffy. They go flat pretty quick, and we got a load full of scrap here, so we're ready to take it for its virgin drive. It's going to be totally legal because, you know, we have plates and insurance and all that. But we'll get that. We're just going to take it around the block since we haven't changed the diff fluid or the training fluid yet, so I don't want to take it for a real long drive. But I just kind of want to get it out on the road and see how it goes. So